Hello everybody and welcome back, and we find the party up some trees. Trees are rather burnt, as are most of the things in it. This is the Aranea lair, and they've successfully killed off these intelligent spellcasting spiders. It's clear from their artifacts that they had little magic laboratories up these trees where they wrote in their esoteric writing and created some esoteric little experiments. They had some bugbear thralls, which are dead. Most of the magic items have been destroyed. There was a broom of flying, which I have to say, even if the fireball wasn't cast, I'm not sure I would have kept that. There is something slightly fairy tale like about a flying broomstick, and also from a DM point of view, especially if you're playing solo, I wouldn't necessarily know what to do with it. It seems to be so versatile that it might change things drastically. If in your games and in your adventures your party has used a flying broomstick, I would be grateful to know how you used it and whether or not it altered things drastically. But everybody has to come down from these trees at some point. There you go. The Phanaton guides that we have come down from their tree where they were hiding in safety. We have fulfilled our part of the bargain, so we have to go back to the Phanaton camp. I'll get that set up. This is the Aranea lair. The Phanaton camp is here, so we have got several days of journey to go. I think we will rest for tonight in this place. And let's see if there is a wandering monster on a roll of 5 or 6. Okay, back to this again. I'm going to make a rule that if we are in trees, then our Phanaton bodyguards will alert us to any wandering monsters, and therefore we will always get surprise. 5. Okay, it's a cave bear. 3 of them. We have surprised them. The encounter distance is only 10 yards. If we back off, they will see us. In fact, the bears have blundered into our camp. So who is on watch? Apart from the 2 Phanaton guides who have alerted the 2 people on watch. Right, the 2 highest are Maradin and Tybor, the old friends from the prison underneath the Black Eagle Keep. Well, they have time to alert everybody else while these bears are sniffing around the edge of the camp, so we can all get up and get our weapons ready. They're not necessarily hostile. I think the surprise is over, so let's just do some reaction rolls. That's 6. Well, it's not good, is it? Uncertain. Roll again. And that's 7. Negotiate. Roll again. Well, there seems to be a bit of a standoff as these bears are looking at us with curiosity. We have food, and bears are known to get quite in your face if you camp near them and you have food. And that's 6. That's just leave. Okay, and we won't argue with that. Okay, so those bears can leave. And when we wake up tomorrow morning, we have to cross these hard granite mountains again. So we'll just do 1 day of travel, which is 1.5 hexes. And let's roll for an encounter. There isn't one. So let's settle down for the night and see if anything happens in the night time. It doesn't. Right, so we have got another day to make it to here. During that day, we were able to do more healing up, so by the time it comes to the evening of the second day, everybody is back to full health. Second day in the mountains, there is nothing. Second evening in the mountains, there is something. Right. That's 28. A Grangere, a new monster. See the end of the module, and there's only 1 of them, and when there's only 1 of something, it's usually quite tough. Right, a Grangere looks like a cross between a giraffe and a hornless rhinoceros. Is that a prehistoric mammal? There are things that look like that. Its long neck allows it to reach for and eat leaves from the tops of trees. Our Grangarry is about 30 feet long and stands 20 feet tall. Right, it's got 13 hit dice and it can move fast. It can also trample, but it's clearly a herbivore. Unlike a triceratops, it doesn't say that it tends to be angry and charges. Right. What it's doing here, I don't know, but we are in the foothills, so perhaps it is eating the trees at the top of the tree line just before it becomes a bit scanty in the higher mountains. So we're going to have to go down the hill again, and this time we're going to pass through the cave system for the Neanderthals. Let's see how that goes. The next day, the party are going to move into this cave system, which we know is populated by the Neanderthals. We'll stay on the edges of it, we don't want to disturb them. Let's roll for tonight's encounter. There isn't one. Let's see who's keeping watch. Right, and that's Sylvia and Carrick. Our elf and our dwarf, who have fast become good friends despite their differences. While they're keeping watch with their infravision on the edge of the camp, they see some red shapes come towards the camp. They're humanoid. They don't get too close. Sylvia and Carrick draw their weapons in anticipation, but these two figures seem to be fiddling with something on the ground, and after a few minutes they just slip away again towards the direction of the caves. Carrick gets up and walks over to where these two figures were, and he sees something they have left behind on the ground. He picks it up and it's a necklace. It's a necklace made of the beaks and certain bones of that borer or hakos bird that we killed and gave the Neanderthals the remains of probably about 5 days ago. He brings the necklace back to Sylvia, who looks at it slightly bemused at this rather crude artifact, but clearly some care has been put into it. This is a gift. So when the party wake up the next day, it's a source of both amusement and sort of touching humanity that these quiet, gentle Neanderthals remembered us and the gift of the dead bird that we left them. What are we going to do with the necklace? It's passed around and nobody wants it. I mean, it's got the beak of this bird on it, which is a rather large thing, but Tibor takes it and says, 'tis fitting, and he puts it on. So Tibor has now got a giant bird necklace. Let's move back to the Phanaton camp, right, and we're in the jungle. This is the Phanaton terrain, so if there is a wandering monster, our two bodyguards will give us the heads up. And there is. Right, okay. Let's see what it is. And that's 36. Oh, this is not funny. This is a hydra with 5 heads. Right, let's roll for encounter distance. Right, it's not that far away. That's 110 yards away. Right, probably circling overhead. Our little guides have pointed up to it and signalled an alarm, so by the time it swoops over to us, we've got some idea of what to do. I don't think we're in the mood to take this on, so Sylvia is going to pull a trick from the Aranea encounter, and she is going to use her phantasmal force to create a shield over everybody, which creates the illusion of a jungle floor. So as the hydra sweeps overhead, it can't see us at all. We're hiding underneath the phantasmal force, and it will fly on away. Let's follow this trail. So we get back to the Phanaton camp at night, and there's a lot of celebration at the good news that the Aranea have been destroyed. And our two guides, as promised, are going to lead us northward or away up this central plateau where we believe the source of all of our problems lie. From this vantage point of the treetops of the Phanaton camp, we get a good view of this ominous looking plateau, and it looks blood red in the setting sun, and everybody has their own foreboding feeling of what will happen when we get there. But before we follow the party towards the final destination, let us go back a few days and remember that Captain Trelawney did suggest to the two brothers, Kane, who is almost a clone of Tibor, rather large, not the brightest, and wields a two-handed sword, and his older brother Barton, the rather alcoholic cleric, to follow on behind to catch up with the party and to make sure they're okay. So they've got to about here. I'm going to roll for an encounter in the hills. Yep, and they get one. And that's an 11, which is a centaur. We have not come across a centaur before. A centaur is a creature, well, I think we know what a centaur looks like, and they prefer to live in meadows and forests. They're of average intelligence and often carry clubs, lances and bows, one weapon per creature. Centaurs will form into small tribes. Their homes are in dense thickets. Right, it doesn't say that they're naturally hostile, so let's see what happens. Firstly, let's see how many of them there are. And we roll a 6-sided dice. There's 6 of them. Okay, right. Let's see who had surprise. There is no surprise. Let's roll for the encounter distance. That's 180 yards away. So, in my little table here, that will give a +2 bonus to any reaction rolls. In effect, we're not in their face. Right, so let's see. That's a 9. That's possibly friendly. Roll again. I think Kane is pointing at these half-human, half-horse creatures, and he's probably sniggering behind his hand. Yo, look at the funny people. And he could probably make some innuendos about horses. And that's another 9. That's friendly. So they come clip-clopping towards these two and say, "Here, what brings you to these parts?" And Barton says, "We're following some friends of ours to make sure they're safe. Have you seen anybody come past?" And the centaurs point them northward towards the direction of the Phanaton camp. These two, they're not the brightest, but they're not that daft to know when people are being good to them. So they say thank you, and the centaur go their way, presumably hunting for something. Let's go a bit further north for this evening's encounter. There isn't any, so I have to roll to see if they get lost. And they do get lost. They want to go due north, or they want to go this way. So I will roll to see if they accidentally go in their intended direction, or they veer off left and right. And they veer off to the right, so they're still in these hills. They're going to camp for the night. Does anything happen to them? It doesn't. So they're going to wake up the next day, and they're still going to try and go northward, which will bring them to the riccasta nomadic people. Do they get lost again? They don't get lost. So they end up in the riccasta camp. Well, they can see the camp in the distance. Let's see how far away the camp is before they realise it's there. Oh, that's really quite close. They've blundered upon the camp. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they just came over a rise in a hill and there it was below them. I'm gonna have to roll for surprise. And they are surprised. Let's see what the reaction roll is. Now luckily, Barton has a 14 charisma. Let's go back again to the red books to see what the adjustments are for charisma. Right, I eventually found it, stuck here on page 51 of the player's manual, and with the 14 charisma, we can expect a +1 adjustment to reaction rolls. Here's hoping that helps. Oh good, that's a 10. Possibly friendly. Roll again. Right. So these cat people on their saber-toothed tigers come up and surround Barton and Kane. They're clearly not going to attack because perhaps the good experience they had with the main party has altered their opinion of humans. So they're curious. And and that's a 7. That's friendly. So, I suppose they're going to invite Barton and Kane into the camp in their rather broken common tongue that they speak, and they offer some kind of hospitality. And Barton says, sure, I'm great. Do you have anything to drink? By just sheer luck, these two are invited into the riccasta camp. The leader asks Barton, does he have the same healing magic because 2 of his people are injured? And Barton does. He has 2 cure light wound spells, so he can go to the infirmary tent and heal up a badly injured warrior. That of course improves relations greatly. And for a reward, they thrust a flask of some kind of palm wine into his hands. He's more than happy. That's him set up for the night. And the night will go on. However, come the morning, 2 of the cat riders come from over the hills towards the camp where they have been patrolling, and they have bound up and tied a figure that's been strapped onto the back of one of their saber-toothed tigers. They dump the figure onto the ground in the middle of the camp and unpick the rope, and there, lying, looking rather sheepish, is Archie the cabin boy. And Kane and Barton say, what are you doing here? The riccasta chief says, is this person known to you? And with a bit of a sigh, Barton says yes, and he gives Archie a cuff round the head, which is kind of the expected treatment for a wayward cabin boy. And the chief says, well, if you can look after him, then we'll let him go. He was caught trying to steal from one of my people. If you remember, Archie is a 6th level thief. He's been thieving since he was a small boy. He's been picked up by the same thieves guild that Liz is in, and he was her contact on the ship. So he jumped overboard, swam ashore, and has since been trailing everybody from a distance. And he has finally caught up with Barton and Kane, and they're going to make their way northward towards the central plateau, where the riccasta have told them that the main party, that was their destination. So let's see how both parties get on next time, and I will see you then.